Hello, welcome to a steamy, humid, hot episode of Fat Mascara. I'm Jen Sullivan.
I'm Garrett Muntz, sweating over here.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So, Garrett, I continue to get feedback now that you're like a regular contributor, and I have to share with you what I heard from a listener who I saw in person last week. And they said, I love that dermatologist you've been having on more. The guy, I was like, who is she talking about? He knows so much about plastic surgery. He's so fun and funny and charming. And I was like, do you mean Garrett? And she was like, yeah, Garrett. So apparently a lot of our listeners think that you're a dermatologist.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm honored. Should I start cosplaying as a derm on TikTok?
I mean, isn't that what all beauty editors do?
I mean, it is true. I was talking to someone last night at a work thing, and we were talking about career trajectories, and she was like, well, I went to med school, and I thought I wanted to be a dermatologist, and I dropped out, and I became a beauty editor. And I was like, isn't that the dream that we all have? To be like...
Wow. And I know a beauty editor that became a nurse that became a beauty editor, and one beauty editor that became a dermatologist. Yeah, it's in the world. This all makes sense.
When I go to see like my derm friends and like talk to them and stuff, I'm like, I really missed my calling. But then I realize this is the thing that I couldn't do. I hate popping stuff.
Oh, we can go into practice together. I will be the surgical part of it. You can talk to everybody, prescribe, do all the math and science, and I'll just be there for physical labor.
Like truly, I love it. That's perfect. Perfect partnership. Yeah. I mean, I can inject all day long. I can inject myself all day. Like, I love to inject stuff. I also love...
To be clear, let me clarify for the listeners, Garrett Muntz is not a dermatologist.
Yeah, we should back up there. I am not a dermatologist, nor... like anywhere close. I'm an enthusiast.
He plays one in magazines, is all.
My job is to relay what dermatologists tell me to the reader.
Yes. And you would want to do the injections. You just don't want to pop them.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I could watch YouTube videos of like surgeries, but for some reason, I can't handle the popping.
Well, maybe that wasn't your calling.
Yeah.
You're in the right,
That's true.
You're in the right place, I think. How are you doing besides being hot?
I'm good. The heat is oppressive. And I feel like the heat really just like makes everything harder. But I also have been dealing with a lot of issues. So my big news is that I was diagnosed with sleep apnea yesterday.
Yeah, I know because you told me, but like, thank you for sharing with everybody.
I feel like, listen.
That's a tough one.
It is tough. I've had sleep issues my entire life. And I remember even when I was like in high school, my mom was like, you have sleep apnea. And looking back on it, I'm like, why didn't you ever send me to get tested? But it wasn't a thing back then. Like sleep studies, sleep doctors. Like I never knew about sleep doctors until like recently.
So you went in for like a sleep study?
I did. Well, I did an at-home sleep study. So I found this service called Blue Sleep. Basically, the thing is, my sleep has gotten progressively worse in the last probably year. And to the point that I wake up probably once every hour, every night. So I'm not sleeping a full night's sleep at all.
Miserable.
And my snoring is really bad. So I reached out to a sleep expert that I've used for stories before. And he was like, I want to help you. I'm just not licensed in your state. So what I would recommend is going to your primary care physician, and asking him to order you an at-home sleep study. So I did that. Yeah. My primary care guy did not want to do it himself. He was like, I would rather refer you to a sleep doctor and who can do it. And then yada, 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 like, you know, healthcare medical system. The next appointment wasn't for like 4 months. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do my own kind of like reconnaissance here. And I found there's a lot of different services now that are telemedicine. I found one that was just had a quick appointment. It's all virtual. So I met with them virtually. They sent me an at-home sleep study that is basically, I was shocked. It's like a little finger sleeve.
Oh, like an Oura ring or something.
Yeah. And you just wear it at night. You only do one night. And
is there a machine hooked up to it?
It's like an app.
It's like Bluetooth or whatever.
So the app records all of your data and sends it to them directly. And then they interpret it and So I met with them yesterday to get my results. And she was like, you have really severe sleep apnea.
Oh,
So
wow.
like,
I just learned about this because I was writing about mouth tape, which is that trend that everybody saw on TikTok of like keeping your mouth shut. And they were telling me, yes, it can help with very mild sleep apnea symptoms, but that you really need to get your airways checked before you just start like self taping your mouth or doing whatever it is. I'm so glad you got like a professional to weigh in. So what can you do?
so I am going to get a CPAP machine. They ordered me one.
Oh, my best friend has one and it's so dorky and I can't stop making fun of her every time I sleep over.
I mean, I find them to be really.
She looks like Bane from Batman.
I mean, it's like the full mask. Like I did a virtual mask fitting, and it's like because of my face and everything, I have to do the full mask.
Yeah, that's what you wore for a while.
I mean, I'm at the point now though where I'm like, I will do whatever it takes.
She's in so much better shape now. She's so much healthier. Like all these random little things that like blood cholesterol, whatever it was, have all come back to normal since she got diagnosed and can sleep better. Now she wears some crazy retainer that like resets her jaw. They moved on from the CPAP. Jess and Philly, if you're listening. So you're going to get your CPAP.
I get my CPAP. I mean,
Mazel tov.
I'm excited for it because I'm like,
What's your husband going to say?
Well, this is other thing too. He's been on like the couch for the last like 2 months because of my snoring.
Oh,
so he's like,
this
thank
could be
God.
a good thing.
He's like, how quickly could this machine come?
Yeah, I mean, you hear that from a lot of people who sleep with somebody else who has snoring problems.
Yeah, I mean,
Tell him also loop earplugs.
He's tried
earplugs.
He got those. They didn't work for him.
Oh, you're that loud.
I find it fascinating because everyone that I know who either uses or knows someone who uses it, CPAP machine, says that they're life-changing. And in my research, just think about all the things that sleep affects in your health and your mood, your energy levels, all of it. And so many people have sleep apnea. I think like 51 million Americans are diagnosed with it. Plus,
wow,
over 80% of people that have it are not diagnosed.
Okay, so maybe we just got a couple more people to think about this as they were listening and like, maybe they need to get tested for this.
I think with all of the discussions right now around sleep hygiene, sleep health.
Sleep is so hot right now. Multiple editors I work with are like, can you write about beauty sleep or morning shed? Did you see this new TikTok?
What's that?
Hashtag morning shed. You put on all the stuff and you look crazy ugly while you're sleeping, like mouth tape, frownies, your retainer, your eye mask, your earplugs. And then it's like shedding all that stuff in the morning so you can like reveal because you've gotten your beauty sleep. But like, it's true. The better you sleep, the better you look. Like, Garrett, you're going to have like a glow up once you get your
I can't wait. I'm like, the bags will be gone. My cortisol face will be, depuffed.
Yep, that's another one. Morning puffy face.
I mean, listen, it's like, I think the takeaway that I've had, I mean, granted, I have not gotten this machine yet. I don't know how well it's going to work for me yet. I have high hopes, but I think as easy as it was for me to do from home, there's really, if you have any sort of sleep issue or you don't even know what's going on with your sleep, do it.
Go ask Mr. Google, DM Garrett Muntz on Instagram. He'll send you the link.
I will happily send you the link. My brother did one, thought that he had sleep apnea, found out that he has something called hypersomnia, which is like this other thing, which is where you can get 15 hours of sleep and you're still tired.
Wow.
There's all these different things that, it's like, it might not be apnea, it could be something else. Because I've written these stories, I'm sure you have too, about like sleep hygiene and making sure that your bedroom is cold and dark, all that stuff. It's like that stuff is great, but that can only take you so far. Like my sleep hygiene is really good. Like I don't do screens an hour before bed. I do all the things. And my sleep was still terrible. So it's like if you're doing all that stuff, get to the bottom of it because it's time.
Yeah, involve the pros. Oh, well, I hope like you get all sorts of benefits. I mean, you're on the show once a month, so you're going to have to keep us updated on how that's going.
Should I come on with my CPAP next time with the mask on?
I mean, for me, I would love that. I don't think our sound engineer, Enrique, would love that. I'm pretty sure that would affect our sound.
True.
So I'm going to do a pass on that one. But yeah, I want to know what happens.
I will keep everyone posted.
Please do. Let's take a quickie break, and then let's talk some beauty. Okay, let's get into it because I saved this. This news came out actually like a week and a half ago, but I was like, I need Garrett to be on the show to discuss. Mintel, you know, that's like the marketing research. People, they put out reports all the time. They just put out a report that half of US men now use skincare products. And I was like, okay, is that like a lot? What are we talking about? That was a 68% increase since 2022. So that's like a big increase.
I love when these studies come out because on one hand, they're a little misleading because like every year there's an increase. There has been for the last like 20 years, right?
With any beauty procedure, any beauty product usage. Right. Yeah. That's right.
But
okay.
Especially with men, because it's like, you know, I've used these same stats to like justify a lot of stuff over the last decade. But like, I do think it's interesting. The biggest takeaway that I got from fake news.
But that's a decent number. If it was 100 men using skincare, now 168 men. That's a 68%, right?
I think it's great. I also want to know what they define as skincare. I'm like, are we talking moisturizer? Are we talking more advanced stuff like serums, whatever?
I looked at that. I think it's beyond cleansing. So it's anything, which honestly could probably be sunscreen, which I think a lot of people are getting more aware of. So that would count. But I'm curious, this is still more than like the amount of women that have increased skincare usage in the last 2 years. So I'm curious, a lot of like Mintel researchers and pundits were saying it's because they wanted to get on the girl bandwagon because of the rise in like the Sephora teens and women using skincare and getting into it. But I was like, let me just ask Garrett what he thinks.
Wait, like they're
like, oh, the guys saw the women participating in this particular social trend of using skincare, and that's why they're using more skincare. Let's say you're in a hetero relationship and you live with a woman and her skincare increased in the last 2 years. And you're like, what's that? I mean, that just happened with Eric. He's like now using Shiseido wrinkle smoothing eye cream because he saw it in the vanity. He's like, I need this, which I think is how some guys might get into skincare. But what do you think is behind that? Is it the Zoom effect? Is it?
I mean, I think there's a few different things. I think that's really reductive and kind of offensive to just think that the only reason that guys are using skincare is because they're seeing women do it. I think that's a little
You guys are smarter than
antiquated. That. I mean, you're right. A lot of men do enter that world through their partner or their girlfriend or whatever. But if they're going to keep using it, they have to see some sort of benefit for themselves. They're not going to just keep using it because their girlfriend has it around.
Yeah.
But I also, I think that was interesting because it was, most of the increase was around Gen Z. I've been reading a lot lately about the whole looks maxing trend, the mewing, like the whole package of like this TikTok-driven obsession with like looks, which I don't think is necessarily new either. I think what's new is the name. But it's like we all have always cared about how we look as teenagers. Like that's part of being a teenager.
Totally.
But I do think that that's part of it too. I think that like that generation of men is just more informed. Like we're talking about the whole sunscreen thing. Like they're more informed. I also think that they're just more open to using that stuff than probably a lot of the older people that are running these studies assume.
Oh, they're doing very like gender antiquated ideas about like masculinity and femininity.
Yeah, very generational. It's like these like younger guys are buying products that the older guys who are like interpreting this data are like, that's strange. Like, why would they want to wear, you know? But for me, what was most interesting about that study was that a lot of the increases around luxury products.
Oh, I didn't notice that. What are you speaking about?
So it was basically saying that like mostly Gen Z is buying luxury versus mass products.
I see.
That's really what they're focused on, and that's what's driving this trend too. It said that over 2/5 of men ages 18 to 34, which is 42%, purchase premium facial moisturizers over mass market brands, while 33% of Gen Z men who use facial skincare products at home are purchasing more premium products.
So it's like, yeah, I was always aware of a cleanser and a moisturizer, but now I'm spending more because I'm buying a really fancy cleanser and moisturizer.
Yeah, like and I think that's really interesting too, is that I think that for a long time the market didn't think that men cared about that kind of stuff. Like think about the amount of luxury for men's skincare product lines there are versus women's.
Yeah.
There's hardly any that are just marketed for men, right?
Right. Yeah, if you go into Ulta Beauty or go into Sephora, you guys get like a half of an aisle.
Right.
And those are saying those are mostly prestige stores. Yeah.
Right. And I'm by no means a proponent of the For Men line, unless I actually believe that it was developed with men in mind. I think a lot of them are not. So I'm much more into the whole unisex thing. But like, I mean, think about like luxury skincare that's like male friendly, right? We're talking packaging or whatever. You know, think about brands like Botter or like 111 Skin, stuff that's like a little bit more unisex but still luxe. I think that kind of stuff is really interesting because that's really what these guys are, what men, if they're going to buy luxury, are going to go buy.
Yeah. And there's also, I think with a lot of skincare now that it's ingredient driven, the branding has gotten less gendered. So like Prequel, the Inky List, Ordinary, like a guy, I'm really generalizing here, but like wouldn't feel weird, like this isn't for me because of the way that the packaging looks. So that might be more welcoming in a way.
Right. I think that the days of the For Men product are dwindling more and more, unless it's like something that is actually for a male
like like shaving or something, or
right,
facial
like facial
shaving
or whatever. I do think that like it is interesting that increase, a lot of it is around premium products. Because you think about that age group, for so long, people were like, oh, they're the ones that are buying the Dove multi-use 3-in-1, 4-in-1. Yeah, or the like drugstore product that you use to wash your face, your body, your hair, your beard, your feet, like all of it, you know?
Oh, like a 6, yeah.
Like, you know, and it's like, clearly they're not, because they want to buy actual real shit, or sorry, stuff. But it's like, I don't know, that was what was fascinating to me.
It's true. The news got taken out of context of like everybody's more into skincare since the pandemic, not just the guys. But I'm glad you offered that take on it.
I always feel very torn when I see those stories because part of me wants to roll my eyes and be like, well, duh. But like, I also am like happy that it's news, and I'm happy that the data is out there to support what we all kind of see on the ground.
Keep Garrett's job alive.
Yes, please.
At Esquire and Men's Health. Yeah.
Please.
Okay, moving on. This is a place I know I'm not going this summer, but Las Vegas. Cosmoprof just wrapped in Las Vegas. Have you ever been to Cosmoprof?
I have not, and I'm dying to go.
You have to go once in your life. It is. So Cosmoprof, for those who don't know, is like the huge beauty, like all the beauty packaging places come, new brands come, formulators come, and it's a huge conference. I think it's in Milan and Vegas every year.
And then Miami, I think.
Oh, they did Miami. Yes, thank you. But the Vegas one has always been, at least for the last 10 years, in Las Vegas in July. The reason being, you just don't go outside. You don't see the light of day for because there's so many miles and miles of booths and people to meet and everything like that. I did not go this year, but I was trying to see what fun news was coming out. So I wanted to share a little highlight with everybody. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, we had a listener, Courtney from Brooklyn. What up, Courtney? She called in to raise a wand to Small Wonder Shampoo, which was this brand that, because I'm always on the quest for less packaging. So the solid shampoo bars I was really looking into, and she wanted to point me to the powdered shampoo and powdered conditioner. So that's what Small Wonder is. Powdered, you add water, it lathers if it's the shampoo. You add water, it emulsifies for the conditioner. Well, guess what, everybody? The 2024 Cosmoprof Award for hair care goes to Small Wonder and their signature shampoo.
That's awesome.
My 2 takeaways are, A, Fat Mascara listeners are geniuses, ahead of the curve, know their beauty stuff. And B, they're really looking to reward, and they even said this, like people that have packaging innovation, that are thinking of new ways to make smaller packages, which I kind of love. But you can go on, I'm going to link in our fatmascara.com episode recaps. They're also in the show notes for everybody, to the rest of the winners in case you want to see what else is trending at Cosmoprof.
I don't know the brand. Is it like a shaker?
Yeah. Okay. Picture like the Tatcha rice cleanser or any sort of powdered cleanser. Yeah, that, but for shampoo and conditioner. Yeah, so it's much lighter, as we know, and there's no water in a formula. It's easier to ship. It's lighter to ship. And I told Courtney that I was going to go try it, and then I didn't. But now I really have to, because if it won this award.
Yeah.
So.
Well, also you're a fan of the bar.
Well, I like the bar is even less packaging to me, because you don't need the plastic thing that the powder is in, and it disappears completely. So you could put it in a cardboard box and you're good to go. The thing is, the bar conditioners, sorry, they're still gross. You're just not going to get the slip, the moisture, the protein, whatever you want in your conditioner in bar form. This shampoos have come a long way. I'm like, the Davines one, I've decided is the best one.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
You know that brand, right?
That's such a good one, yeah.
Yeah. And you can buy, it doesn't come in it, but you can buy like an aluminum little case for it that drains quite nicely.
See, that's my issue is the saving it.
Right. Because like, I think the good brands think about this and usually sell the holder or whatever it is. Because you know how a soap bar in the shower gets like all slimy? Like that's not luxe. Nobody wants that. So a lot of them come with holders. One of the ones I tried came with like a wavy wooden thing that like you were meant to sit it on because it drained better.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, but because Small Wonder has seemed to have figured out the conditioner thing a little bit better than the solid conditioners, I'm in. I'm going to try it. I will report back.
Cosmoprof approved.
Cosmoprof approved, exactly. Next year in Vegas. You and me. Let's do a live podcast.
Truly. I mean, I am such a trade show person. I love a trade show. I used to go to the fashion trade shows twice a year for like 10 years. And I love them. And I always want to go to Cosmoprof. Whoever wants to bring us out there next year, hit us up.
Oh, yeah. Cosmoprof, you listening? We'll come. We'll do a panel.
Totally.
Okay. Oh, we'll do Science Corner. Should we go to Science Corner? Let's go to Science Corner. Okay. This is so nerdy, and I find it so delightful. There is a new study in the Journal of Advertising Research, everybody's favorite scientific read. And it reports advertising that implies explosions makes us want to buy perfume. So the guy who did this study, first of all, I watched him on a podcast. I think it was the Journal of Advertising Research's video podcast. I'm going to save you. I'm going to save you and say, go ahead and don't watch that. He's lovely, but I'll just give you the highlights here. What they did this in multiple countries. So they did this in China. They did it in America. I cannot remember the other countries. So it's a global look at this. They found that when an ad for a perfume or a cologne either implies explosion with like the words used or shows a visual of an explosion, it ups sales and it gets the reader or watcher to think that perfume or cologne has longevity. The explosion then like links in their mind the semantics of it, like bigger, longer lasting scent. And so I was thinking about this and I was like, they're right. I have seen so many fragrance ads over the years. Picture like the ads. There's always like water splashed and it's like, psh, or there's like a bottle and it's exploding in the flowers, or freaking Victor and Rolf.
I mean, Spice Bomb.
Spice Bomb. It was a literal grenade.
It's literally the name and the bottle.
Oh, the bomb. I didn't even think of the bomb. Obviously, bomb is a explosion word. And then I was thinking about the words we use. Spritz is like not super explodey. But how many times have you said that a scent blasted you in the face? Like the blast of fresh air.
Blast, pow. I mean, I feel like I use a lot of that.
Yeah, it's like it packs a punch. It's like
punch.
Yeah. So we do it in our writing. Clearly, the advertisers were on to this. I'm even thinking about, I can't remember which one. It might have been a Kenzo, and it was like the comic book, you know, like the Pow, Kazam, whatever it is. That was the branding for this cologne. I cannot remember what it is. I still have one of the little like zipper pouches they send to editors, and it says Pow on it. But so the researcher who did this, I think this feels like to me the study of like, yeah, didn't we know that? I mean, the fact that so many perfumers have been doing this for so long.
I think, I mean, it is a little bit like low-hanging fruit, but it's also very funny because it's like, the question is like, is it just like a subconscious human thing that like, that's what we associate with like explosions? Like, did we all come at this from a different road and it just happens?
Well, that's why I think they did it in multiple countries to show it's not just a cultural thing in one country. He connected the dots with it. It was like a very complicated design of study to show that it also led to a higher purchase intention. So I guess someone can like an ad and think the fragrance is like has longevity or whatever, but they're like, cool, moving on. But when they saw the explosion or there was explosion language, they were more likely to want to purchase it.
Wow. My question when I see those explosions and the bottles exploding and stuff, it's like, how do they do it? That's my like.
I am so glad you asked that. We had at least one, but I think more listeners have been asking me about beauty photography and prop stylers and like how that all works. Guys, I am on it. I've reached out to multiple. It seems photographers and prop stylists do not like to get on the mic. I've gotten turned down by quite a few, but I think I'm on to someone because I want to find out, how do you do that magic? Like, did they shoot a
Totally.
bullet at that and like slow motion photography, like explode it?
Yeah. I've been on set for a lot of still life shoots in my life and like prop styling tricks and all that. I've never been on set for that kind of shot. And I would love to know, are they truly exploding it? Or is it like CGI? Is it like, I mean, nowadays it's probably more CGI than anything else, but like,
Or Photoshop or something.
yeah, or Photoshop or something. But like to get an explosion like that, like in motion, are you literally shooting this model with a gun?
Well, and I even think about the Neutrogena face splashing kind of ads from
like
the 90s that I grew up on. When I got to Cosmo Girl in the aughts and we would do like skincare photo shoots, the number of young models that we friggin' drenched, I feel so badly. Those shots are so hard to get them to like over a fake sink that we make with like trash bags with a prop stylist. And then they have to scoop the water up. Their hands have to look somewhat nice. They have to get enough of a splash so the droplets are captured in the right moment when you click the frame. And this is even with digital cameras. And I just remember like feeling so badly because they all looked miserable by the end. You're getting waterboarded on camera.
Oh, totally. I'm sure. Yeah, it's like try splashing your face for like 3 hours straight.
Okay, I don't think I've ever put a model through 3 hours of that, but I bet when they do like a skincare advertising ad, not like a magazine photo shoot, of course, it's a full day shoot.
Yeah, because it's like when like video is a whole nother animal versus still photography.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about the video version of it.
Because still you can at least retouch on some level.
Yeah.
I mean, video you can too, but it's so much more expensive to like, retouch video that like people don't want to do it. So you have to get that shot perfect.
This is why I'm going to have the prop stylist on and
that's going to
find
be a
out
good episode.
The secrets. I think so too.
All the secrets to beauty photography.
That's the research. If you work in fragrance, you probably already knew this, but go to your bosses and tell them we need explosions. More explosions.
More explosions, please.
Yes. Okay, last thing, and then we'll take a little break. So the embargo on this lifted literally yesterday. I'm very excited about this. I first thought this was a joke, but I'm not sure. I want to know what you think. What do you think of the smell? Like Auntie Anne's pretzels. Do you know the mall pretzel place, the butter dip pretzels? It's the airport favorite.
I'm offended that you even ask if I know who Auntie Anne's is. Of course.
I just don't know.
She's iconic.
I'm over here having never gone to a Home Goods before this year, so.
I will say something somewhat controversial. I prefer the smell of an Auntie Anne's over a Cinnabon.
I think I agree with you.
But
I think both of them are disgusting. They're so cloying.
They are, but they're also identifiable immediately, which is the whole point. Like, you know that they gas the area.
Oh, yeah. The same way movie popcorn, the same way Subway bakes that bread in there so that the smell is coming out. Like, when I worked at Wawa, we had the bread. It was like par-baked fake bread, and then you'd put it in the oven, and it would like everybody would want a shorty. They don't do it that way anymore. But Auntie Anne's, do you think they actually bake them on premises, but do you think they actually like spray a scent in the air in the Auntie Anne's kiosk?
For sure.
Or store?
Absolutely.
I know. Why am I being so silly about this? Of course, we had on a person whose job was literally to scent hotels and cruise ships. I'm sure there's been some fast food retailers. Well, clearly people are with you and like the Auntie Anne smell maybe more than Cinnabon because they just came out with a perfume called Need. That's right. K-N-E-A-D. Har, har, har. It transforms the iconic aroma fans love into a wearable scent infused with notes of, are you ready? Buttery dough, salt, and a hint of sweetness. Each spritz, is a spritz an exploding word? Maybe not. Each spritz evokes the experience of passing an Auntie Anne's store and inhaling the nostalgic aroma of pretzels.
Oh my God. Okay, I am kind of obsessed with this.
Who's going to wear it though? But do you have a positive connotation with the buttery smell of Auntie Anne's?
I mean, listen, I'm definitely not a gourmand fragrance person. Like, I would not wear this fragrance, But there is something.
That is so generous of you. You just put it in the gourmand olfactive family. And you're right, it is.
Of
Why
course,
am I
it's
cheapening
sugary,
it? It's a gourmand.
yeasty. She's definitely gourmand. I don't wear gourmands. However,
she's not a fougere.
she's not a fougere. She's not a chypre, or however you pronounce it. As such a mall kid, I was such a mall kid. Like, I worked at the mall. I spent my free time at the mall.
Wait, what store did you work at the mall?
I worked at the Gap.
I should have okay, so in my head, I thought you might be, what was the CD store? The Wall?
We had Blockbuster Music.
Oh, okay. But you were the Gap. Classic.
I was at the Gap. I was the fitting room specialist. I hung out in the back with all the fitting rooms and gave people my opinions on what they were trying on.
Oh, well, this was, yeah, and you worked at fashion magazines, so that makes perfect sense.
It's all training.
On your Gap break, would you go to Auntie Anne's?
I wouldn't eat Auntie Anne's, but I feel like the mall had such distinct areas, a lot of times associated with smell, right? Like, you would have the Bath and Body Works. You would have the food court with your Auntie Anne's. This is actually the wearable thing is funny because a friend of mine and I, a few years ago, came up with the idea of doing a line of home scents based on the mall.
Okay. So you've got food court.
You'd have, Auntie Anne, you'd have your food court, you'd have your Christmas store. Because, all of these stores had very distinct scents. And also, as millennials, we spend a lot of time in malls. These things are very nostalgic. I mean, I find that Auntie Anne's scent...
You and Jess, both. I think it's your age. I'm a little older than both of you, and maybe that's why, I don't know. She loves them all.
I romanticize malls. I love them all.
Oh.
I just find it so nostalgic and I could smell Auntie Anne's from 5 blocks away and instantly know that it's Auntie Anne's.
Okay, that makes sense to me. I think we didn't really have an Auntie Anne's in my town because I'm from Philadelphia and we have our own type of soft pretzel, and it was not an Auntie Anne's. And by the way, if my mother's listening, the very first job, which I told everybody all throughout elementary school, what do you want to be when you grew up? I told everybody I wanted to sell soft pretzels by the side of the road. My mother says it's the most embarrassing thing about my childhood because in Philly, when you're ready to go on I-95, it's really not like that anymore. There would always be all around Center City, Philly, a guy with a shopping cart with a big cardboard box with 100 just baked soft pretzels, and they're the skinny ones that are attached. And you would roll down your window and buy 4 for $1 in a paper bag with a mustard packet. And that's a soft pretzel to me. I don't remember Auntie Anne's growing up.
Interesting. So
pretzel culture. Who knew?
Pretzel culture is a big deal. I mean, I guess it's associated with so much baseball, Americana, all that stuff. But Auntie Anne's, specifically Auntie Anne's, is such a thing. I don't know. I'm torn with this because on one hand, I really love it from a nostalgic point of view and a mall person point of view. The other hand, I'm I would never wear it. Why would you want to smell like an Auntie Anne's?
You just want to have that moment. And I just noticed this other quote. Now I have to read it to you. It's from Julie Younglove Webb. She's the chief brand officer at Auntie Anne. She says, over the years, fans have shared their memories and experiences that began with just a whiff of our pretzels. We've bottled that moment and can't wait for fans to enjoy it in a whole new way. Garrett, I know where I'm going to see you on August 13th in New York City, 433 Broadway in Soho. There is New York's first pretzel perfumery is opening at 12 p.m. You still have time to go. You need to do it.
I will be reporting
both
live. Go? Yes. We should go for sure.
Okay, I'll go with you.
That would be really fun, actually. I would love to go.
Oh, look at this. Visitors will get a tote bag, a complimentary tote bag, along with a free pretzel if you purchase Need Perfume.
Yes. There we go.
And the bottles are 25 and 45 respectively. 1 ounce, $25. Done. We're there.
We're first in line.
She's a gourmand and she will be ours.
She will be ours. She will. I'm into it. I wouldn't think that I would be, but I'm I am for sure.
Oh, I know. We're going.
There's something about the food partnership and fragrance happening right now that you think is a joke, but it's really not. Remember when I sent you the thing that was Bobby Flay and Pepsi?
No. What
this is a while ago.
Flay and Pepsi?
This was for Father's Day.
Yeah.
It never ended up happening because there was a production delay or something. But Bobby Flay for Father's Day was going to come out with a fragrance with Pepsi. That was like
Okay.
a smoky barbecue Pepsi fragrance.
Oh, what's interesting is like smoky and cola could work together. That's like a balsamic note to me almost. Like a Pepsi has like a balsamic note, and then you add in like wood chips and cedar. That could be really, if it's done
Yeah.
well.
There's like a sweetness that's not too sugary.
Yeah. Get on
I
it,
don't know.
Bobby.
It could work. I mean, who knows? Like I reached out to them and I was like, this actually sounds really interesting. Could you send me a sample? And they said that there was a delay. But then I just realized that when I looked up before this, the embargo doesn't work because it's embargoed until the 13th. But there's another one coming out soon this month that is another food reference. That's a kind of a gimmicky
Oh, which you can't
fragrance.
tell us, just so you guys know how it all works. We journalists agree to these embargoes so that we don't.
I
Next
will.
week,
I will.
we'll
Yeah,
tell you.
I'll bring it up. But as a
Come on the
Southerner,
Fat Mascara Instagram and tell people. Yes.
oh,
Oh,
yeah,
he's hinting. If you signed an NDA, be careful. Don't you
no
break
such-
that
no such
embargo.
thing,
You'll
yeah.
never get beauty news again.
literally blacklisted.
Before we get blacklisted, let's take a quick break and then we'll raise a wand. Okay, it is time to raise a wand. And as everybody knows, Raise a Wand has expanded, just like the Fat Mascara MCs, if you will. It is not just raising a wand products you love. It is call us, text us, and ask us questions. So I got this this wonderful call from Karen. I'm just going to play it. Let's hear what Karen has to say and what she's asking about.
Hi, Jess. Hi, Jen. My name is Karen, and I am calling from Southern California, the OC, and I am one of your senior listeners. I'm 61 years old, and I just want to thank you first off. I've been listening for years to everything that you've taught me about how the world has changed and how we can understand and better understand people that are different than us and things that have changed in the world. So I appreciate that from you. I have a beauty question. I am wondering about these all-body deodorants. I mean, what on earth? I don't get it at all. And again, maybe you can help with this. I just think that unless you're a construction worker working out in the humid weather or the desert all day long, I don't know why people need a full-body deodorant. I mean, we take showers every day. We live in air-conditioned areas. Am I missing something here, or is this just an advertising ploy? Please, it would be great if you could do some kind of podcast or just at least bring this up and help me understand why people need this. Thank you again so much. I really appreciate all you do. Bye-bye.
First, how much do we love Karen?
Karen's such a sweetheart.
She is. I love when people get what we're trying to do because I don't want to be like explicit, like it hit people over the head with like the theme. Jess is always trying to keep us too on theme and like keep repeating theme. I just like want to make sure people understand what they're getting when they come to Fat Mascara. And then I get messages like this and I'm like, Karen gets it.
Yeah, Karen gets it for sure.
We're in no judgment zone. We're staying up on beauty culture. And so she's asking about whole body deodorants, which, Karen, this is so funny. I got in a huge conversation with my editor at The Cut about whole body deodorants. And I really was confused by them as well until I did a little research. But I'm curious, Garrett, I know this is your beat. You know about like sweaty things. You know about body care. Like, I'm not asking you about highlighting and contouring. When did this whole body deodorant trend start? Did you clock it when it started? Like, when did it become such a big thing?
It really started this year because there were a few that were kind of creepy. And like Lume was kind of one of the first that was like, I wouldn't say that it's the best, but it's one of the first. And then I feel like what made it explode was like Dove, Old Spice, Secret, Shea Moisture, Native.
The Unilever family.
All came out at the same time. All dropped. P&G, Unilever dropped all theirs at basically the same time.
Then we had Native. Who owns Native? I don't even know, but Native has one.
Yeah, Native has one. Ban has one, a whole line now. They're huge. I mean, I'm with you. When I first heard about it, I think I was a little bit like, okay. I have also written stories about them since they came out, and I'm a convert in certain ways. I think that if you actually do struggle with body odor in a way that it makes you self-conscious, go for it. This is great.
That's what I was going to say. if you don't think you need this, you're not the customer.
Right.
So I see the cynicism of someone who might be like, this is just a beauty brand trying to sell us more stuff or tell us that we smell badly, right? And they're trying to make us feel bad about a thing we shouldn't feel bad about. But then I talk to people with hyperhidrosis, which is excessive sweating. And I talk to people who maybe have skin folds, like, like but you have a thigh fold that like moisture gets caught. If you have extra skin or fat, like moisture gets caught in there. You might sweat more because of the size of your body. There's all of these populations of people who are so well served by these products. And just for like a little bit of like science geekery about it, most of them, not all of them, are they're formulated slightly different than your normal deodorant. So this isn't like taking an aluminum salt deodorant, or antiperspirant and rubbing it all over your body. They use ingredients to basically change the pH of your microbiome to limit the growth of the smell-producing bacteria. So you're not necessarily clogging up the sweat pore in that way that you would in your underarm. So some of them you are still going to sweat. There might be some absorbers and things like that, but they're much healthier to use on larger swaths of your body, if that makes sense. Was that a good way to explain?
I think it is important to remember that they are deodorants, not antiperspirants.
That's an even simpler way. Thank you.
If your issue is sweat, but not necessarily odor, they're not going to make much of a huge difference for you.
They might absorb a little, but they won't stop the sweating. Yeah.
Right. But if your issue is actual odor, because a lot of people do, it's really based on your unique personal bacterial makeup is what determines how much you smell. I mean, I can smell myself. I know my own brand. Let's put it that way. But like, I wouldn't consider myself like an especially smelly person. But there are times that I've been like, oh, I definitely smell.
When your bacteria were off.
Is off, whatever. And some people they just naturally smell more than others. And that's fine. That's how our bodies work. And so this is really more for odor. And one of the things that I learned when I was working on the stories that I did around them, they were really developed because people were realizing that people were already using deodorants in these places.
Oh, yeah. We should mention that.
But the thing is that if you're using a underarm deodorant on a part of your body that's not your underarms, really it could be more irritating because that formula is not tested anywhere but your armpit.
And if you're using an antiperspirant, which the aluminum salts that
which is a whole nother
somewhere
level
other than an underarm. Ooh,
right.
I feel like that would sting. You could irritate the skin.
Well, I asked them why they didn't do. I asked Dove particularly why they didn't do an antiperspirant version. And they said it's because, they're like, we're experimenting with other ways to kind of deal with this. But really it's because, as we all know, the FDA regulates antiperspirants as a drug. And to date, the aluminum salts that are the only approved way to stop sweat are only approved for your underarms. So legally, they could not call something an antiperspirant and say that it's for any part besides your armpits.
Although someone could take an aluminum salt and put it in there, they wouldn't be able to make the claim of the stopping of the sweating.
Correct.
Yeah. And you have to look at them because some of them, they're different. Like the native one I looked at, it's basically body spray. It didn't have any sort of acids to adjust your pH, which would adjust the bacteria balance. It's literally just fragrance and water and like glycerin, which might help because these fragrances are designed to sort of block the scent of the bacteria. Like they trigger your nose to smell the other thing instead.
Right.
Oh my God, how many presentations from like Secret and Dove have you been sat through where they talk about, or Degree with the stress sweat and then the special scent that like, and I used to think it was BS, but then you smell them and you're like, oh, right, my nose. It's like if you're getting an injection of Botox and they tap your shoulder and you feel the shoulder tap instead of the injection go in, your nose registers the nice scent instead of the person's bacteria smell. So they really do work, even if they're just a nice smell in a bottle. But yeah, I love that Karen was curious and she came to this whole thing with like a question of, why don't I get it? Because I was there too, and this is why we do what we do.
I mean, I actually use some of them. For me, it's more about the format. There's the one that I really love. I use it more as an anti-chafe stick than a deodorant, personally.
Which one is it?
So there's a Dove Men Plus Care version. There's also a Dove version. It's the whole body deodorant stick. And just the way that the stick is formulated, it is a really, really good anti-chafe stick. that just happens.
Even on areas that might have hair, it's not going to get like all stuck in hair.
Yeah, because it's clear.
Oh, nice. So you get more glide if you're running or someone has a muscle or fat that bulks up and they rub against each other. So helpful.
I use it at like the gym a lot, like around because it's not just your armpits, but like anywhere that rubs, like my thighs, all that stuff. And it's great because, you get the multi-use. For me, it's about, am I going to reap multiple benefits from this product?
Yeah, that sounds good. Oh man, if they had that when I was like doing marathons, I got torn up.
Oh God, I can only imagine.
I haven't done a marathon in years. Anyway, I hope that answered your question, Karen. I love that you've been listening for a while. Thank you for calling in. We raise a lot to Karen, don't we? Yeah. I'm still looking for, by the way, I have a couple that I'm going to be playing, but like I had homework that I gave out with Julie, but I want to keep it coming. Dynamic duos. So these are, call us 646-481-8182 or email us with a voice memo. What product you have that you like it with another thing. For Garrett, I feel like for you, it's that Malin and Goats. You were like, there's the shower gel and then there's like a body gel after. I forget what the scent was.
The like scrub and the gel. The in-shower
it's
scrub.
Your dynamic duo.
Totally.
Yeah. But anyway, keep them calling, call us and everything. Garrett, what are you raising a wand to this week?
I'm raising a wand to something that I find to be a must-have for me, especially speaking of sweaty bodies.
Do we see a theme this episode?
I love it. Like every time that I like come on, I'm like talking about how gross my sweaty body is. But I struggle.
We love Garrett. He turns off his AC for us so that he can record. So thank you for your service. Okay, go ahead.
Because of my sweat issues, I struggle with a lot with body breakouts. And my favorite way to treat them, or the one that I found to be the best so far, is the Necessaire body acne solution. There are a few of these body acne sprays on the market. Usually they have salicylic acid, which this one does. It's 2%, which is kind of like the hero, which we all know sal acid is a really, really, really good acne fighter because it's a BHA, so it does surface and in the pores cleansing. However, this spray I love because it also has zinc in it, so it's not super irritating. It doesn't really dry my skin out, even if I use it every day. And it has niacinamide. So I noticed on my back, I have a lot of because I have had back acne and body acne for so long, I have a lot of pigment issues also from former breakouts.
Post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. So
because of the niacinamide, it's not only treated the active acne, but it's helped lighten the post-acne and pigment issues.
Garrett, I'm starting to see why people think you're Dr. Muntz. Like as you were describing this and you were like, well, it has salicylic acid, which is a BHA, so that's going to get in the pore as well as not just... I was like, oh, yeah, this is why listeners think he's a derm.
Oh, I cannot go nearly as deep as an actual derm could go, I'm sure.
No, it was a good explanation. Okay, so it's both, it's like brightening, and also then clearing up the breakup that you do.
Yeah, which for me, it's like, again, give me a multifunctional product. I love anything that's going to do like multiple things. And also it's just easy to use because it's a continuous spray like those sunscreen bottles.
Oh,
so you can turn it upside down. You can get it
on
you can get it anywhere on like your body. And for my back particularly, it's really hard for me to apply stuff like on my own. So, but this I can get the whole back with by myself, which is perfect.
Yeah, and you can't be asking your husband because he's been sleeping on the sofa and he's like, I'm not doing anything for you until you get your snoring fixed. I got it.
See, I do not want to add to his list of grievances at the moment.
I love that. It's good for summer too, because I feel like that's, I don't know. Back acne always happens more in the summer. You're just sweating more.
Yeah,
and like throw a sports bra, if you wear a sports bra on top of that, it's like a recipe for disaster.
And I know that butt acne, it's worked. I'm sure it works with. I also have that, as we've famously discussed before.
Or it could be folliculitis, which I learned from Dr. Dendy when she looked at my butt. So, but I bet it does help with all sorts of pore issues that you might have.
Also, like that's the thing too, is like from what I've learned through my personal and also professional struggles with this, is that like a lot of body acne is also folliculitis because it goes around the hair follicles. So it's treated basically the same way.
Yeah. Okay, necessaire. Raise a wand.
Raise the wand. $25 sounds like a lot, but it lasts a long time because it's a really nice spray. So it's not going to be like gone in a week unless you use a ton of it, which I have also done that before, but would not recommend.
That's a good one. I just think whenever you come on the show, I want to do something makeup-y because I made it my mission when you were like, I don't know, I'm joining Fat Mascara and I don't know a ton about makeup. I was like, watch me raise a damn wand to make up things every time Garrett's on the show.
I love it.
I'm raising a wand to, I would say it's a technique. The fluffy brush for concealer instead of the flat brush. A lot of, when you look at brushes and they're labeled, a lot of the concealer ones are like this flat, kind of, you've seen it probably used on set, like dome tipped but flat with like a synthetic brush. Because they said concealer, I was like, oh, that could be for under eye concealer too. And it can be, but those are more for like when you're covering a pimple or something specific. I've now talked to 2 different makeup artists who are like, don't use that under your eye. You're going to end up putting on more product that you want. It's too precise. It's sharper, so it's like going to wipe off what you did want. And so I used a finger, but then, was it Katie Jane Hughes? Or was like another makeup artist that I talked to? I was like, oh no, use a fluffy brush. So to me, a fluffy brush is like something you would use for a shadow or a powder or a blush. But no, if you put on your under eye concealer with your finger and then it still looks like it's there. If you use the fluffy brush to sort of airbrush it out, it looks so natural.
How big are we talking about the fluffy brush?
The fluffy brush is small. So the one that I've been using is Kevyn Aucoin. And I was like, oh, I thought it was a shadow brush because it doesn't say what it is on there, but I was like, I'm a genius. I'm going to use it under my eye. Come to find, I go on the Kevyn Aucoin site. It is called the Supernatural Concealer Brush. So I'm like, oh, clearly Kevyn Aucoin was onto this way back in the 1990s. And like, I missed that memo from you, Kevin. And I read like all of your books. But a fluffy brush for the under eye concealer gives like this airbrushed look. It's quite nice.
Oh, I love that.
Even if it's a liquid concealer. So you
would apply it with your fingers first.
So that's the thing. I don't like washing brushes. It's a thing. I've talked about it on the show. So I will tap on the concealer with my finger. And then sometimes you're just like, oh, it's sitting in the texture wrong, or it just looks obvious when you back up from the mirror. So then I take the fluffy brush and just sort of pat and brush it and airbrush it and buff it with that instead of, and this even says concealer. Okay, see how that is like a flat brush?
Yeah.
That's what I always thought you were supposed to do with concealer, but it kind of just wipes it off. So now I put it on with the finger and I do this. And they're very different.
Oh, yeah, totally. Oh, interesting. That's really cool.
Right. Who knew? I was today years old when I learned that a fluffy brush really works for concealer. So raise a wand to that. We're all learning together. You, me, Karen, the listeners.
So into it. So into it. I mean, this is like, I learn something new every time that I'm on. I love it.
Me too. From you, from the listeners. That's what Fat Mascara is all about.
Sharing the knowledge.
I love a 360 moment in an episode, and I'm going to tell everybody to get their beauty sleep, but we're going to especially wish Garrett a really great beauty sleep once his PAP machine comes, so that we hope you feel better soon.
Thank you.
Stop snoring. Have a good week, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed the show. It's your reviews and feedback that help us make the podcast even better. Head over to iTunes to rate and review us, or email your thoughts to info@fatmascara.com.
We also want to answer your beauty questions and hear what products you love. To share a Raise a Wand product review or to ask a beauty question, email us at info@fatmascara.
If you send it as a voice memo file, we can even share your voice on the podcast. You can also do that by leaving us a voice message. Our phone number in the United States is 646-481-8182.
Thanks so much for listening.